What are the most intriguing prop bets when you're looking at the Bengals and Rams from betonline.net for Super Bowl 56? What are the interesting non-game things that you should be looking at wagering on here ahead of the game? It's time to break it all down here as we do it on Locked On Fantasy Football.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Vinnie Iyer. Remember not to do this. I'm writing about NFL and fantasy football for sportingnews.com. Come to the site now and check out all we have leading you into Super Bowl 56. It's Bengals. It's Rams. It's only a couple days away here from the exciting action from SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, home of the Rams. And what we're going to do here is we've broken down the game in detail. We've looked at when the Bengals have the ball, when the Rams have the ball, and game prediction. We've looked at the DFS, where you want to go on DraftKings and FanDuel. Now we're going to look at the props that you should be considering. Super Bowl prop bets, always popular, but you got to play the right props. And we're going to look at that. We're looking at the Bengals props, Rams props, and then cross over to some game props and some things outside of the game that are interesting. There are some crossovers and non-game stuff. We know there's a lot of hype and other things going around with the Super Bowl. So we'll do that in our final segment. So we'll go in depth here on the props and have some fun with it on today's show. Before we do that, I got to tell you, thanks for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. We're free and available for you on all platforms. This episode is brought to you by GetUpside, our title sponsor. Just download the free GetUpside app and use the promo code TOUCHDOWN to get 25 cents per gallon or more cash back on your first tank. All right, what we'll do is we'll do the Bengals prop bets. These are very specific to them offensively and a little bit on special teams that we're going to break down. So let's do a little bit of a change up here. Just 1 second. One hat off, and we'll put our Bengals thinking cap on. And let's look at these. And we'll start with our man, Joe Burrow at quarterback. Now, the number here set at betonline.net. You can find these props there. Check it out. There, betonline.net, our favorite sports betting website here on Locked On Fantasy Football. Joe Burrow, 298 passing yards. That looks like to be the magic number here. They have different tiers of where he can put up numbers, and as it progresses, the odds get a little bit better and the payout is nicer. So I'm going to say safely, and you can go above this, but I like the number here of 298 for his passing yards. You get plus 108 on those odds. So I'm going to try to avoid the minus wherever possible, unless the bet I feel is really good, because you just give up too much juice there. You want to have a little bit there that makes it a bit of an underdog situation. So looking at Joe Burrow, over 298 is 108. I think it's pretty good that he'll have that. I think, again, this will be a highly contested affair, high scoring here. So even if they have some success in the running game here, and these two run defenses are pretty good, keep that in mind. The Rams and Bengals are top 10. So you figure there's going to be a lot of throwing. And some people maybe avoid this just because you look at Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, you look at the sack totals and all that. But Joe Burrow, either if he's in a shootout with Matthew Stafford or playing from behind, I feel really strong about that number here for him at 298 over that. So plus 108. That also comes with another interesting number. You could parlay it or look at it a different way. Joe Burrow at 23 rushing yards or more, that's also plus 108. So you can look at the sheet. You can see how far you want to go. But 23 is where I have a comfort level that I think you'll have a few rushes in this game and take advantage of maybe being flushed out of the pocket, buying some yardage in this game against Aaron Donald and Von Miller and extending plays that way and then taking off. We saw him do it against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. So 23 is a modest number. It seems like a lot for a guy like Joe Burrow, but he's very athletic, more than we know. And when we've seen him, again, he's going to do whatever it takes to win this game. I think he can get there with 3 scrambles. So I think it's going to happen. He scrambles 3 times. One, maybe a good chunk run of like 15 yards, and then 2 shorter runs here. So that's why I like the 23 there in this one for sure. And he's a guy that extends plays. Things will break down. The Rams linebacker is going to be a little slow to react here, so that's why I like it there. So over 298 and over 23 for his yardage for Joe Burrow. Now let's go to Joe Mixon and his buddy in the backfield. Now, the number I feel most comfortable about here in rushing yardage is 81. So I think he'll get slightly more than 81. I don't know if I can go beyond that, but I think he's going to get enough touches in this game. So for me, how I look at it is 81. I think he can get there with about 20 carries. I think he's going to get that, and I think he has a potential to reel off some chunk runs as well here to get him to that number. So it could be some tough sledding early, but 81 looks like a decent number for me. So plus 127 for that. So you get a little bit nice return there for going over the 81. So, and whatever props you're playing, that's what I'm looking at. I'm just telling you where I feel these numbers are most confident to get to. So you may go to betonline.net. You may be looking somewhere else with over-unders and all that. But I'm telling you, this kind of covers that all here, looking at 81 plus rushing yards. Another number I like for him is over 37 receiving yards. So I'm asking for a lot here for 108 plus yards from scrimmage here, but this is plus 108. So that's the number again for the 37 receiving yards. They're going to use the screen game. He's going to be involved. I don't think you'll see Samaj P. Ryan as much in this game. He had some key roles there, but Mixon obviously can get that big chunk there. So P. Ryan had that long touchdown, the 40-yarder there against the Chiefs that kind of sparked them. Well, I think Mixon can get that here, and I think you get a few more touches. That's why I'm confident there that you get a 108 yards from scrimmage, and I think that's how it's going to be split up a little bit. 118, you look at it actually with 81 and 37, you get 118, but I think he'll go well over 108 yards from scrimmage here, 110, and push for 120 in this game. So that's why I like those numbers for Joe Mixon overall. This is the receiver I like the most in this game if I'm looking at the Bengals, just because the numbers. With Jamar Chase, it's a little bit questionable where because of the Jalen Ramsey coverage. And T. Higgins could also see Jamar Chase's coverage man and Jalen Ramsey because they're both outside guys. Tyler Boyd, we know, is going to be in the slot, and he's going to avoid some of those tough matchups. We know C.J. Uzomah, he's progressing well with the knee injury. We've talked about Boyd a lot and getting him in our plays in DFS, and he'll come up later in the show, hint, hint. But right here, the numbers I feel comfortable with. I think in some places his over-unders 3.5 catches, 39.5. Here are the number that you're looking for to capitalize. I think it's 51 plus receiving yards at plus 110 there at betonline.net. And 5 receptions here to go along with that. So a little bit of a combo there, 5 for 51. I think Tyler Boyd will have a better game than that. And I know he was quieter than we expected there. We talked about it in the AFC Championship game, but Boyd needs to play a bigger factor in this game because that's where the matchups dictate. Because keep in mind, Darius Williams is not a bad number 2 corner. Higgins has still got the advantage there, but Tyler Boyd definitely has the advantage against the safeties and nickel men of the Rams. He could see Eric Weddle in coverage, so Eric Weddle's ancient. Boyd has had some really good success in the slot in key games, and I think he bounces back. Remember, he had a nice game against the Raiders in the first playoff game. I think he has a nice game, maybe even gets in the end zone in this one as well. And I think there might be actually a 20-yard play in it for Boyd, and that would help us get to those numbers really easily. All right, the next one, I said Jamar Chase. I'm not going to so much chase his receiving yards, see what I did there, or receptions because of the Ramsey situation. But in the red zone, the Bengals are very proficient. They like to throw down there. Joe Mixon is a very good bet to score. We know that. He's their feature back. Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown is plus 110. So I feel really good about that here, and especially first half. And you look at it, I think he's going to get it done early here. So Ramsey can cover him deep, take away the deep ball. But Chase is such a good short area receiver that Ramsey gives him a little cushion or play after the catch there, a little dump off and make a move and get in the end zone. I can see that with Jamar Chase. So I really like that to have an anytime touchdown for Jamar Chase. If they're trailing late in the game and Ramsey kind of backs off, Chase could put up some garbage time. So keep in mind there you want to have different scenarios to get this to play out in your favor, win or lose, when we look individually at the prop bets that have nothing to do with the outcome of the game. You're looking at the matchups and things how it go. So Chase, anytime touchdown, plus 110. And I also like this number because I picked it in the score. I have a 30-27 final score. So By that, I think Evan McPherson is going to have a big game. He's going to make a few long ones. Exactly 3 field goals is plus 500. I think bottom line is I think it's over 2.5 field goals here for the Bengals. So that's how you play it here. Plus 500, really good if he has exactly 3 field goals. That's a pretty sweet spot based on where Evan McPherson has been in the playoffs, and it's good conditions, perfect weather. He has long range kicker. I think he can put up 3 long ones here, and some drives are bound to stall here for the Bengals. Very good red zone team, but run into some more difficulty in the playoffs against better defenses. So those are the 5 Bengals props there that we're looking at here. So we have the Bengals. That's why we have this hat. We will switch over to the Rams hat and put on a Rams thinking cap in our next segment. Then we'll give you some overall game things that you can look at there, concluding with what we finally think is going to happen in the game and how you can play that into prop bets as well. I told you at the top, this episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is brought to you by GetUpside. And GetUpside, fantasy football fans, is an app that everyone needs to know about. If you're not on GetUpside now, you've got to take advantage of it. My listeners are earning cash back for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free GetUpside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use the promo code Touchdown for 25 cents per gallon or more on your first fill up cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using GetUpside. Just download the app for free and use the promo code Touchdown for 25 cents per gallon or more cash back in your first tank. Some people drive a lot and making as much as $200 to $300 a year in cash back, and there's no catch. The cash back gets added right to your account. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card. For Amazon and other brands, just download the free GetUpside app and use the promo code Touchdown to get 25 cents per gallon or more cash back in your first tank. That's Touchdown, the promo code, only at GetUpside. All right, we will continue the show in a moment as we switch from our allegiance here from Bengals to Rams to figure out our favorite props on their side of things on betonline.net. It's Super Bowl week, brought to you by GetUpside, and there's no better place to get coverage of the big game than right here in the Locked On NFL podcast. You've already seen it with Locked On NFL, Locked On Bengals, Locked On Rams, all LA, all week here covering for the big game. So really excited that we've had those on-location things here. And again, hoping to cross over here before the end of the week here for Super Bowl. Excited about that with all those folks on the ground. Good folks, great shows. Listen to it here on Super Week. All right, we said we were going to change hats, and we will literally do that. So give me a second. So goodbye, Bengals hat. Now let's go to the Rams hat. Yeah, going a little bit, I don't know if it's old school. It's kind of new school, middle school, a little bit of forgotten school. They've gone on to different logos and all that. But yeah, so let's still do this. I mean, they're the new Rams. We're going to break it down with an old hat here. Let's start with our quarterback, surely Matthew Stafford. He's a 304. That's his number that gets you the plus 108. We had Joe Burrow just slightly under. It's 298. So 6 more yards for Stafford. I think the Rams in general are just going to be a more aggressive passing team. You know, the Bengals are pretty good at the run. Rams can get too pass happy for their own good, especially Stafford. But I don't want to attach myself to the touchdowns and interceptions on the other side. Just looking at the yardage numbers here. So there's a good chance both these guys go over 300. 304, close enough to 300 here with Matthew Stafford. 298, same thing with Joe Burrow. It's a little bit of a difference, but I think Stafford, the load is good there to go there. So plus 108, that's the threshold. So over 304 is basically what I'm looking for. Again, how much more than that you can feel comfortable, get some better odds as you keep going. But I'm comfortable there at more than 304 passing yards for Matthew Stafford. Now, Odell Beckham Jr. has got to play a big part in this as well. Now, he doesn't have to get 100 yards and go off like he did in the NFC Championship game against the 49ers. It was his first 100-yard game in a long time. With the Browns, and you had to go back for a while. But I think he's going to cool off but still be a big factor. So the number I landed on at that plus 108 that's available there at betonline.net is OBJ. It's plus 76 receiving yards. So I think he's going to go more than that here in this game. So 76, I'm seeing him somewhere in the 80 range, 80 to 90. So it's kind of right where I project here, there. And you look at it, and I also like the 6 receptions there. So combination there, 6 receptions, 76 yards. That looks like a pretty reasonable line to expect, at least for OBJ. We'll push past that. So plus 100 there for OBJ. If he hits the 6 and 76, there's plus 100 and plus 108. A good combination of bets there that you can look at. Cooper Kupp is our TD score, and this is a pretty good number here. You can look at Cooper Kupp for a touchdown in the first half is pretty good. I mean, TD in the first half early, the first TD and the first half TD, these are pretty good combinations here. So the first TD is very specific of the game period. I have him at plus 500. That's really good for a guy that scores, and the Rams often throw to him in the red zone. It really comes down to the Rams get the ball first. I think that's going to be important. Or if the Bengals do, they force a punt here, can get on offense. So if he scores the first touchdown, it's plus 500. But get this, if he scores any time in the first half, plus 200. You feel pretty confident Cooper Kupp is going to get off to a good start here for the Rams of all the players here. So plus 500, plus 200 for Cooper Kupp to get on the board early. Like those numbers quite a bit here. So Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown, gives us a little bit more flexibility into the second half here. But Cooper Kupp, investing him to be a big factor early is a good way I like to go in Super Bowl 56. Now, this is a weird one, but I would play it in a different way depending on the site. But the number right now for Aaron Donald is like three and a half. In some places, 4.5 combined tackles and assists in this game. I think he's going to see a double team, and I don't think he's going to get more than 3. 3 is about where he can get in there. So at exactly 3, it's plus 350. That's not totally what I love here, but I don't think it's going to be 1. I don't think it's going to be 2, and I don't think he's going to be involved as much as 4. So I would go on a lower number for Aaron Donald in general here. Again, the Bengals would be crazy not to double team this guy. I guess based on their pass protection issues, make other people beat you, even if it's Von Miller on the edge or one of the other defensive linemen for the Rams. So I like it plus 350, exactly 3 combined tackles and assists for Aaron Donald here. So basically an under what his production would seem to perceive to be based on how he can wreck games. Again, I think the Bengals are going to be very careful about him disrupting things in this Super Bowl. All right, this is an interesting number. This is just a general team thing I'm doing. This is our first minus bet, so a little bit lesser odds here, but I think they'll be under as a team easily. 106.5 rushing yards. It's minus 115 at betonline.net. So good stuff there where I don't think the Rams are going to run the ball that much. I think it's going to be under 100 in general. So under 106.5, we get a little bit of juice there to go in that direction. And if you're going with Cam Akers or Sonny Michel there, I think you go with the under on the rushing yards wherever you can with the Rams, and feel a bit more comfortable with Joe Mixon and his production from scrimmage here. So Rams under 106.5 rushing yards, minus 115, a good way to look at here as our fifth bet that we want to look there with the props for the Rams. So we've done the Bengals, we've done the Rams. We'll do some game in total picks there in our final segment, including some attached to the halftime show and the national anthem. Yeah, we are going to go there in our final segment here on Locked On Fantasy Football for breaking out the prop bets here of Super Bowl 56. Before we get into those, I got to tell you about BetOnline. We've been talking about these odds, and these are where we're going to BetOnline here on Locked On Fantasy Football. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. As football continues its march to the playoffs, right to the big game here on Sunday, BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season, and it's just football. BetOnline has up-to-the-minute info on pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, along with live real-time updates of current games. Don't we take advantage of all the new amazing offers available for the 2022 season, whatever season it is. BetOnline, wherever season it is, BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, it's time to close the show here and look at our final set of prop bets. So we do have some fun ones to break down, and these are some that I've been thinking about a little bit more. Now, the question is, what is going to be the first song performed there at the Super Bowl halftime? As we know, it's Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Kendrick Lamar and Mary J. Blige and Eminem. These guys are all, and one gal, are going to be on stage there. This sounds like an amazing halftime show. Throw it back. What does the theme have here? I get it. Eminem's from Detroit, but where are Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg from? L.A. Kendrick Lamar. It makes a lot of sense that California Love would be the first song here that they perform. It's a good opener, the way the song starts, it just pumps up a crowd there. You have limited time. You got to get in some California Love, and I think it's a good place to start the set here. So at plus 300, you like that. So California Love as the first song performed, you can get that number. Here's an interesting one. This actually has to do with the game. What is going to be the highest scoring part of this? And plus 386 in the third quarter. Again, I think the teams are going to feel each other out. We've talked about that first and second quarter. It's going to start slow. I think the principals will get going. That's why I like Cooper Kupp there early to get it done, and Joe Mixon to grind out some yards. But third quarter, high scoring quarter, plus 386, like it a lot here of all. I mean, fourth quarter, a lot that's going to be popular, we know, but third quarter coming out of the halftime, the adjustments, longer halftime. These teams are going to come out firing in the second halves and really get revved up this game for the scoring to ramp up. So third quarter being the highest, plus 386, that's where I'm going here. And it's also good for those of you playing Super Bowl squares for the numbers to line up here and the money to change hands often in that particular quarter. So we have an interesting one. This is the length of the national anthem in seconds. It is going to be performed by Mickey Guyton versus the Calgary Flames total points for the season. As of now, they're 54 points if they round out and about halfway through the season here, that the Flames. So we're looking at potential 100 points. That would mean 100 seconds. What does that tell you? A minute to 40 for the national anthem. Mickey Guyton is known for stretching the national anthem. She's done it several times at different events. She's known for a nice voice here that's going to extend some notes. So I don't think the Calgary Flames are going to get to 100 points. And NHL, it's really tough. They're in a really tough competition there with a lot of teams in their proximity. So when you look at that, Calgary Flames, I think, stay under 100 points here in general. I do like, again, the national anthem there to go over, if you're playing that game as well, to go over 100 seconds here there. Now we will now switch hats again because we've given the Bengals some love. We've given the Rams some love. Now it's time to get back to the Bengals. They are our pick here in Super Bowl 56. We talked about a lot. I have them winning 30-27. We love our boy Tyler Boyd. And I'm going to take this minus 110 for Tyler Boyd's receiving yards versus Joe Biden's approval rating. Now, I don't want to get political. I'm just going statistical by the numbers here. And Joe Burrow is under 50, or Joe Biden is under 50. There's a lot of Joes in this game between Burrow and Mixon and Biden. A lot of Joes in this game. But right now, yeah, I get it. We always are middle of the road unhappy with what's going on. Somebody's always unhappy. But what did I just tell you? I like Tyler Boyd more than 51 receiving yards. So I think it's going to be 60, 70. It's really hard for any president to get up to 60% approval rating. So I have a little bit of cushion to play with here. So this is an interesting one. I think this is just as interesting as the Calgary Flames points. But I'm going with Tyler Boyd. This is actually on the prop sheet there for betonline.net. So Tyler Boyd minus 110 to add more receiving yards and then the percentage points on Biden's approval rating on the next go-round. And finally, this is the one. We told you who our pick is, so we have to stick with it, right? We cannot go away from that. When we see it in a prop bet form, Bengals exactly by 3, 30-27. That's my score. Plus 1,000. Yeah, that's a pretty good payout. If the Bengals win by exactly by 3, but that's our third field goal. Imagine if we were looking for 3 field goals from Evan Pearson. We had 2, and we get the plus 500. And they're looking for the game winner, and he lines up, and he boots it home. You're celebrating that plus 1,000 victory there. So Bengals by 3, and 3 points is a very common score. And if you're going to upset the Rams, you figure that goes 7 points away because they're 4-point underdogs. It's a whole touchdown the other way. So it lines up really well, plus 1,000. So the Cincinnati Bengals are my pick to win Super Bowl 56 here. And accordingly, with a lot of things that we've broken down on the prop bets, we've done just that here for you on Locked On Fantasy Football. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Fantasy Football, this special Super Bowl prop bets edition for you on the show. Now make sure that you make your second listen, Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q with the expert analysis of gambling expert Lee Sterling. A lot of stuff there with prop bets and good stuff there for the game-specific spreads and things that you can do and get the right action ahead of Super Bowl 56. We hope that you will go and have some action on Super Bowl 56. That's why you're listening, to get the insight from here on Locked On Fantasy Football. This has been Vinnie Iyer. Have a great day, and see you here ahead of Super Bowl 56.